Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Drake Wing Game, and as some of you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you into the Let's Play episode of Remake, Sissel's Path. So yeah, before we jump into it, just wanted to let y'all know that our Patreon is now for as little as $5. Y'all can help support the channel, get some awesome rewards like permanent access to our community Discord server and full access to upcoming Not Safe for Work videos. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in. Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Alright. I squinted at it. I thought you didn't like sweet things. I don't. They were giving out these at lunchtime today, and I figured a chocolate addict like you would get more use out of it. Even with my bad mood, I felt a little wave of gratefulness wash over me as I grabbed the bottle of chocolate milk, and then proceeded to chug the entire thing in one go. The taste of sweet chocolate filled my throat and soothed my nerves. Let out a refreshed sigh and slammed the bottle back onto the table. Feel better? Just barely. Thanks, I needed that. There's just so much shit going on these days. Speaking of... Philip frowned and tapped his chin thoughtfully. These debt collectors you mentioned, please tell me they're the legal kind of debts? I let out a strained laugh. Not even close. Those thugs beat the shit out of Herschel when they came in this morning. Huh. Philip's eyes narrowed, his expression darkening like a cold viper. Criminal debt collectors giving you issues? He glanced around the dining hall warily before leaning closer to me, his voice dropping to a discreet whisper. If you ever need it, the Black Cat is here to lend a helping hand. And if I can't personally be of use, I might also know a few people who could help you out of your situation. I blinked and gulped. Oh, right, the Black Cat himself was right here in Girani Academy. Just saying, if you ever need the help, my offer is here. Just say the word. Thanks, Philip. I might take you up on that sometime. Did these debt collectors ever mention who they worked for? I might be able to send them a little message. I'm not sure on the details. Herschel did mention they worked for a big and important family. Philip stiffened. Big and important family? There's only one of those around here brash enough to... He glanced around the room nervously. Did you mention this to Owen yet? Yeah, I ran into him in the courtyard earlier. I mentioned those thugs to him and he just stormed off without saying anything. Where did he go? The last I saw of him, he was running towards the school entrance. Philip stood up suddenly. I'm gonna make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. Hope you find Sissel soon, Adrian. Call me if you run into any issues. With that, Philip rushed out of the cafeteria with heavy concern etched across his face. Everyone's in such a mess today. Gotta find Sissel. Where should I try researching? Strange noise near school entrance? Yeah. Let's see. School office, okay? The Girani Academy offices were abuzz with post-Visitors' Day activity. Teachers were busy gossiping with each other about parents' reactions or bragging about how clever their favorite students were. This hardly seemed like the place to go if Sissel was in such an angry state. Still, it wouldn't hurt to look around. I quietly slipped through the narrow hallways and approached a familiar office near the back of the building. Knock, knock. Oh, if it isn't Mr. Adrian! I was expecting you. Come, take a seat. I was just brewing a fresh pot of tea. Mrs. Corliss's stern yet gentle smile greeted me as she eagerly ushered me into her office. I awkwardly settled into a seat, glancing around curiously. Unlike Mr. Rokoff's surgically clean and organized office, Mrs. Corliss's space felt very cozy and lived in. There was a steaming tea set on a small table in the corner, next to her shelf of trophies from former students and a healthy pot of Edelweiss flowers. Two comfy beanbags and cushy chairs faced Mrs. Corliss's desk in a casual arrangement. The place felt more like a mini living room than a teacher's office. I don't remember these beanbags being here. What's the occasion? Oh, Sissel came by earlier looking like he was ready to skin someone alive. I figured a more comfortable environment would help soothe his ruffled feathers. Sissel was here? Do you know where he went? Mrs. Corliss let out a low chuckle as she reached for her tea set. Gentle steam billowed from her teapot as a golden amber tea filled my cup. An earthy and herbal smell filled the warm room. I felt my anxious shoulders loosen as a sense of calm washed over me. If you are worried about your friend's foul mood, I am happy to tell you that Sissel left in a much calmer state. Oh, that's good to hear at least. I took a sip of the tea. A gentle, bitter taste gently washed away the frantic background static of stress that's been buzzing in my head. There you go. It is water time. Okay. The stress was still there, but I did feel a little bit better. Now, Mr. Adrian, what has been bothering you? You hardly look better than Sissel when he first came in. There's just a lot of stuff happening right now. Mrs. Corliss simply nodded and listened attentively. I took another sip of tea. Sissel's been having some family issues, and he's been seething since this morning. I want to help, but he's been too angry to even talk to me. I mean, we're dating now, right? I figured he'd have more trust in me, or at least be willing to talk about what's bothering him. I want to help, but I can't really do that if he's being all silent and brooding. I blinked and blankly stared at my cup. It was empty already. More tea? I nodded gratefully as Mrs. Corliss poured more into my cup. It's admirable that you want to help your friend, Adrian, but sometimes emotions get the better of us. If Sissel is so worked up, perhaps it is better to give him some space and allow him to calm himself down first. It'd hardly be a productive conversation if either of you were too angry to speak clearly. That's true, but you're still worried. I sighed and buried my nose in my teacup again. Yeah. Mrs. Corliss hummed quietly. She set her teapot down with a quiet tick. At this point, you should know Sissel better than anyone else. You know he has a hard time accepting help. When help is given, he feels guilty and undeserving, as though there is a debt to be repaid for such kindness. It is truly hard to help our loved ones when they feel unworthy of love. Mrs. Corliss paused and took a sip of tea. A trait that runs through his family, I suppose. I looked up in surprise. He told you about that? Sissel was being vague, but I had my suspicions. He had his mother's eyes and stubborn work ethic. It grew a little more obvious when he stormed in asking about Cecilia Bradley and what I knew about her. She laughed fondly. Although my suspicions were only fully confirmed when you mentioned Sissel was having family issues. Oh, whoops. I shrugged sheepishly. So did you tell him anything about his mom? What was his reaction? Conflicted and bittersweet, as you can imagine. It is rather hard to hear how kind and hard-working your mother was with the knowledge that you will never meet her. Mrs. Corliss stood up and rummaged through a nearby shelf. I had been meaning to give Sissel this, but he left before I had the chance. Since you were looking for him, would you do me a favor of delivering this? I blinked in surprise as Mrs. Corliss handed me an old, faded photo. Oh, wow. Interesting group of people. Huh. Interesting. What if we'll learn more about these people? This is a class picture. Actually, that is inaccurate. It's a photo of the knitting club at Adrien Academy back in the ye olden days. The club only lasted 1 year, but it was filled with a small group of students that changed my life for the better, Cecilia Bradley being one of them. I'm sure Sissel will appreciate it. I glanced at the figures in the photo quietly. A much younger Mrs. Corliss smiled back at me, along with 5 grinning figures. One was a tired but jovial Cecilia Bradley. A tiny Herschel wearing an oversized baseball cap beamed timidly near the bottom of the photo. The rest of the figures were strangers, but they looked familiar in some strange way. I gently placed the photo in my bag and nodded. I'll make sure he gets this. Where did Sissel go after talking with you? Do you think he's calmed down enough for me to find him? Mrs. Corliss smiled. He did look much happier after a little chat. As for where he went, I think you know better than I am. I think you know better than I do. Where does he usually go when he is upset and needs comfort and familiarity? Ah, I see. Thanks, Mrs. Corliss. It is my pleasure, Adrian. I am your teacher and hopefully trusted adult figure. You're always welcome to my office if you need someone to share your troubles with. I am here to help. Second now. Water time. I sipped the last of my tea with a small smile. Thank you. Gotta find Sissel. Where should I try searching? Strange noise near school entrance. My ears twitched and I tilted my head curiously. Heated whispers echoed through the halls near the entrance of the school. What is going on over there? I need to fix this! I froze and quickly ducked behind a corner. I've never heard Owen sound so angry. What was he talking about? I thought you said you wanted nothing to do with the Lorelei family. Owen let out a frustrated hiss and raked his fingers through his hair. I want nothing more than to stay as far away from the rest of the Lorelei's as possible. But I've been running away from them all my life. If I had joined them, I might have been able to change things. Maybe if I didn't run away, I could have made them less corrupt. Maybe Sissel's boss wouldn't have to... Philip leaned close to Owen and placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. You were a kid, one person in a disaster of a family. You were not responsible. Owen buried his face in his hands and breathed in sharply, and breathed out. In, out. It doesn't matter now. In any case, I'm going to find these debt collectors from my family, and I'm going to pay off Sissel's boss's debt. Hopefully that keeps him safe for a while. You're assuming that your family's willing to let them go. Not sure if you've noticed, but your entire family is filled with sadistic pieces of shit. It's the least I can do right now. Better than turning a blind eye and doing nothing again. Sounds of shuffling footsteps echoed through the hallway. What? Isn't it obvious? I'm coming with you. You're not involved. Like hell I'm not. I've got a bone to pick with the Loreleis myself. Also, I'm not letting you go face a bunch of thugs by yourself. You're stuck with me, like it or not. Heh, sounds like a lose-lose kind of deal. You know, this isn't how I imagined I would bring a guy home to meet the family. They'll be thrilled, I'm sure. Philip let out a teasing laugh and pushed the school doors open. Anyway, you ready to go? Owen smiled fondly. With you by my side? Always. Aw, God, they're so cute together. What was that all about? Gotta find Sissel. Where should I try searching? Bradley Woods. Was I ready to head out to Bradley Woods? I wouldn't be able to return to campus for a while. Yes. Alright, time to make my way off campus. Hope Sissel's doing alright. As for where he went, I think you know better than... As for where he went, I think you know better than I do. Where does he usually go when he is upset and needs comfort and familiarity? Mrs. Corliss had said those words with such confidence in me. I couldn't help but feel a small flutter of comfort in my chest. To Bradley Woods, where Sissel grew up. Where he had always gone when he needed to feel at home and at peace. I was about to leave when suddenly a familiar cold shiver curled down my spine. Except it wasn't cold. It felt strangely warm and comforting this time around, like a summer breeze. Echo, is that you? Hey, Adrian, it's been a little while. I pressed a palm against the camera hanging around my neck gently. It pulsed with that strange, ghostly warmth that had grown so familiar to me. We haven't spoken since you were devoured by the remnant. Are you feeling any better? Echo hummed thoughtfully. My camera rumbled against my chest as though it was purring. For someone whose body got chewed into little pieces, I feel pretty good. What about you? For someone who possibly caused his boyfriend to cut ties with his only remaining family, I'm doing pretty... okay-ish. I sighed and shuffled my feet absent-mindedly. I can't help but feel... What if I didn't force Herschel to confess everything? He and Sissel could have lived happily in ignorance, and maybe none of this would be happening. My camera rumbled disapprovingly. Herschel's debtors would have come for him regardless. Thank you. No, water's up. And Herschel's guilt has been eating at him for years. It would have destroyed him sooner or later. Your choice was wise, if a little painful. But sometimes a bone needs to be rebroken in order to reset and heal properly. That analogy isn't very comforting. What do you think I can do to help in this situation? How do I reset the broken bone here? Everyone's too mad or broken up to really come back together. You need to help them come to an understanding. Find common ground. Help them look past all the anger and guilt, and remember what is truly important at the end of the day. You're more equipped for this task than you think. Oh, and how's that? My camera rumbled against my chest. A wave of warmth washed over me. Your ability. You mean that thing I do where I snap a photo and fall into a coma for like 10 minutes? And then I get a memory flashbacks of whatever I snapped a photo of? Try to do it over a carpet next time. You always end up falling on your nose. More importantly, your ability has grown stronger since you returned from the previous timeline. Can you feel it? I clutched my camera gingerly. The warm heartbeat did feel a little firmer. I haven't tried to use that memory dive since I came back from that nightmare. Has something changed? If you really think about it, photographs are little threads connecting the past to the present. Till now, you've been tugging at threads that connect people to their past. But those threads connect people to their loved ones as well. Follow those threads, and maybe they'll lead you to the memory that you truly need. I'll pretend I understood what you just said. Why can't you wishes ever give me a straight answer? Echo chuckled softly. You'll know what I mean when you see it. He yawned quietly. I need some more rest. You should continue your search for Sissel in the meantime. Sure thing. Off to Bradley Woods we go. Perfect timing on that, actually. Alright, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!